what you want? And are you getting
Welcome
what you
back.
need?
No means no bodies. No means no nicks. No means nothings. To no means no thing.
Where the
no
stupid
means
is the
nothing.
point.
Yes. The No Means No podcast, where we're three total fucking idiots attempting to find the best To No Means No song of all time, which, spoilers, there isn't one. I'm one of your hosts, Jordan.
I'm Matthew. Hello.
I'm Michelle, and I hear a piglet in the back. What's that?
Yep.
Is that your dog?
That's my dog going fucking
It
crazy.
sounds
That's
like
why
a
it's
little-
leaning out of frame to close the window.
Oh, he sounds like a little
Yes.
piglet.
Yeah, no. It's a sped up sample from the "Oh My Leg" bit in the.
Nice.
Just
all
as
right,
vicious,
so
Concentrated
that's
vicious.
exactly. So, welcome back, everybody. It feels like it's been a while since we've recorded one of these. The last one was with the fantastic Chet Zar. Loved that episode.
Yeah.
But last time we spoke to John, who has been making the rounds. If you listen to our interview and don't know that he's on a bunch of other interviews out there, go find them. I mean, you could probably search on YouTube now, John Wright interview, and a bunch of them will pop up. They're all excellent. And all kind of come at different angles, and which is just a great interview. It's just great to talk to. So
Yeah, he is.
and great to listen to. So do that, and then come back and listen to us because we want you more. All right. So, boy, it's been a while. We're going to talk about what we're drinking in our this segment called The Power of Positive Drinking. And as everyone could guess, I've got whiskey, but it's the very, very last whiskey in my house, and there's barely any, and this is mostly water from ice. So I'm going to have to go and buy some, which I don't think I've bought any of the whiskey that I've drank so far. It's all been gifted to me over the years.
Can I give some to you?
No. I don't need to be gifted to it. It's more just it's going to feel weird to go out and buy it. I do love it, so that's fine. I can get it. I just, it's just weird. I was just realizing, I never bought any of these bottles. They just gifts.
Must be nice.
Yeah. I mean, over the years, right? Like 10 years worth, I guess. It's a lot of fucking whiskey I've drinking. Jesus Christ.
Right.
And only on these nights. I guess that shows you, because it's episode 59, how many whiskeys I've had. Or something similar. So, Michelle, how about you? What do you got?
Well, you know what? I've
Give me
been
the
on
pop
this
shot?
kick. I'm going to give you the pop shot. I've got a real Guinness, a fake Guinness, but you know what else I have? I've been
What do
on
you
this kick lately. This is going to sound so stupid. I don't like apples.
Okay,
I don't like
that's fine.
applesauce.
Okay.
I like apples when they're cut up. Matthew, don't look at me. I don't like eating an apple normally. I like it when they're cut up. I don't like applesauce.
Same.
Really?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'll do
All
it,
right.
but I much prefer a sliced
Okay.
apple
Me
to
too.
biting
Me too.
into the
All
whole
right,
fucking.
all right. So I'm not okay.
That's not weird.
But one thing I've been really getting into, and it started
Also, I
with
ate the course.
a customer. Right?
That's weird.
A customer of mine made some.
Oh,
I've
apple
been
cider?
getting into apple cider.
Nice. That shit's
Nice.
great. Is this now
Oh,
just
Can be.
like
is this non-alcoholic or is it
No, it's not alcoholic. It's just
Okay.
squished apples and whatever the fuck else
Fuck,
goes in there.
tis the season, man.
It's so good, and it's so thirst quenching. So I have
Yep.
a little bit of that, but
Nice.
just to keep things on the regular.
Oh.
Oh, it's
Okay,
a nice
you got to
little-
give me this one. You have to give me this one. No, I won't say it. Well, I just so
Give you
everybody
what?
knows, Matthew and I have discovered a phrase that drives Michelle wild, and we're not going to
ASMR?
say it. We're not going to say it,
Oh,
but
okay.
I could.
No,
So
go
dis-
ahead.
and
go
I'm just
ahead.
so dismayed.
Have
I'm
your
just-
way.
I'm just tempted to say it now every fucking moment, but I won't. It's going to be
Do
a
it.
real
Go ahead. Let it
clench
out.
in my ass. Now I got to find the right
Jerks.
time. Now I got to sneak one in.
It's
Matthew, how about
fault.
you? What do you got?
Okay. So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm still way reducing the booze, and it's actually kind of more interesting. This attracted me because of the weird little bottle right here.
What is that? Jelly or ink?
It looks
What
like
the fuck?
it looks like like a
like a little
condiment bottle
Like
of
an
some sort. But,
Inkwell.
Or a
Yeah.
mini propane tank from where I'm sitting.
but I looked up what it was. All it says on it. I mean, it's got some Chinese, which I can only sort of read. But it just
Jesus
says
Christ.
it just says plum beverage. So I looked up what it is, and apparently I'm drinking it in the wrong season.
Plum.
This is a very common cooling summer drink in China. It's called Tang, and it is has
So when you have to go poop, is
smoked
what it's
plums.
for,
I knew
bet.
that you wouldn't be able to resist that. Hawthorn berries,
yeah.
dried orange peel, sweet osmanthus, which is a flower I grow in my garden, licorice root, and hibiscus
Of
flowers.
course. Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. That sounds delicious.
Get a
It
fucking
kind of
facial
does.
with
We'll
that
see
thing,
how
too.
it goes. Yeah,
man.
so
That's
let's
more than
God.
just
see
plum
how
juice.
Tang tastes. And also, I like it because
Is it concentrate? You
it's
gotta
got my
put some,
friend's surname. My friend
water in
Stephen Tong. His
Oh, nice.
character is Tong, and it actually it means drink. It also means soup, but so it's sour plum soup. So we'll see how
How
this.
thick it is.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
it's,
you
Michelle,
got a
you're-
clear
you're-
glass to look
it's
through.
just sort of like it looks like an uncarbonated cola. Like it's sort of just
Okay, it's not syrupy, so it's
No, not at
not a
all.
concentrated sort of.
no, not at all. It looks like
I don't know why my mind went there too, Michelle, but it looked
could
like
be
Oh, it's
dark.
Oh, wow.
Well, I
Holy
don't know.
Shit.
Looks like
Oh,
Guinness
it's very floral.
Without
Very
without the
floral.
foam
Well, there's flowers in there, isn't there? Does you say
Yeah.
you've got the
that he grows in his garden.
That's
gross?
really tasty. That's really tasty.
Nice.
I kind of wish it was
Lots of
carbonated.
flavors.
What it reminds me of is tamarind drinks.
Oh,
I don't know if you-
I love tamarind drinks. Those
Yeah.
are good.
yeah.
I've had that before.
So
Maybe
it's
you
sort
can
of
had
add
like
that a
some
lot.
bubbly.
sweet
We
and
had-
tart, but it actually does have smoke as well.
Ooh,
'Cause smoked plums.
nice.
Yeah.
We drank and ate
pretty
a lot of
tasty,
tamarind
damn.
things when I lived in Indonesia.
Maybe you could
That's a
put
big
some
thing over
champagne in there, or fizzy water.
there. Ooh, there you go.
I was expecting that to be gross, but it was not. It's not. It's pretty good. I would get that again.
Which is why you brought it here.
a pleasant surprise.
God.
All right. Well, everyone out there, raise your glass, tip them back, give Teddy a little bowl of water after the walk, or maybe that's
Yes.
after the walk. Maybe the walk is just starting. We don't know. But yeah, wherever you're at, in the toilet, walking the dog,
At
cooking
work.
dinner,
That
in
one
the
guy at
bath.
work in the
My
bakery.
favorite, the one guy at work in the bakery. My favorite recently was a listener escaping her children by listening to us in a bathtub, which was fantastic. So there's all sorts of
So at least
wonderful
one person
places.
has listened to us in the nude.
For sure. I'm sure more than one, and maybe several together. Who knows? We don't know. I don't want to know. I do want to know, but I don't. So
No
we're going to go ahead
pictures.
and dive in, everybody. So
I want
get your drinks handy.
Some bodies.
This is going to be a fucking hard episode.
Yeah, this
promise.
is-
Fuck this one. This is all
Yeah.
fucking fuck. Fuck it.
I mean, pretty much. My feeling is this season gave us all the easy shit up front. Like, I don't really care to whatever.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it saved all the golden fucking calves
Nuggets.
for the
Yeah.
end of the.
It's only going to
season.
get worse, too.
Yeah.
Oh, it
no,
is gonna
this
get
this
worse.
is all the like beautifully marbled steaks at this point. Fucking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Makes me want to be a vegetarian. So our first matchup this week is It's Catching Up off of Wrong,
Oh.
1989. And also, of course, Live and Cuddly, 1991. Now, It's Catching Up won up against Living is Free in episode 40. That was a unanimous decision because, of course, it was. No one regrets that, I'm assuming.
Nope.
And It's Catching Up goes up against Dark Ages.
Fuck.
Off of Small Parts, Isolated and Destroyed, 1988. And also off of Live and Cuddly, 1991.
Right.
Now, Dark Ages won up against Widget in
Oh,
episode
God.
32.
Widget. Jesus.
And as you can hear from Michelle, she was the sole dissenter. It was Matthew and I that pushed Dark Ages through.
That's a hard one still.
I understand.
Yeah. So It's Catching Up versus Dark Ages. And once again, fuck this shit. First thing I want to say in comparing, reminder
Sideways.
everyone, we've got you all know by now, we've got the 3 rounds, yada, yada, yada. I don't think we need to.
A world without truth, for those unspoken lines and communication. A strip's broken, and the dark is cold and freezing.
But this deep tree seems strangely pleasing.
And the power drippers receive facelifts, and the thorn pushes our glaciers, and the misdemeanors seem so ghastly, while the media push
It's Catching Up and Dark
here we
Ages
go.
are
Number
so.
one.
It's
Ding.
amazing to me that these albums are back to back. The way they sound is so fucking different, and they are such different aspects of this band, and they are. I don't know that I can say they're pinnacles of those aspects, but holy fucking shit, they are.
Yeah, they are.
They are. I mean, I meant like certainly they're the upper echelon of these types of songs, what each of them represents. But it really and I think this plays through to the next matchup that we haven't talked about yet. It never ceases to amaze me how of course this is always No Means No, always has that kernel of No Means No and the DNA of No Means No, but it just can sound so fucking different. And some of that is just down to the songwriting, of course. Some of that is down to what they're doing at any period. Some of it's down, especially with Small Parts for me, to the mix, which I have to say, as I always do when I complain about this shit, I get really mad every time I have to crank up fucking Small Part songs because everything else is 20 times louder in the mix, and Dark Ages is this quiet little shit that I have to crank it up 7 notches. But it was interesting for me to go and listen to this 2 ways, to listen to It's Catching Up and Dark Ages off their studio recordings, and then go and listen to them both in Live and Cuddly.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the same energy, the same mix, the same instrumentation, all that. More the Wrong Age bass sound, which is interesting, right? Because that was not there in Dark Ages time, the wrong bass sound. So it gave me it gave me some different impressions of these 2 things together. But to back up, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's Catching Up. I don't think there's a more iconic opening to any album ever in history. Those initial bass notes are probably, if you were to like just suck out 4 measures, 8 measures, 10 to 16 measures, whatever, and just say, what is No Means No? It'd be hard pressed that most people wouldn't just fucking airlift that first section of It's Catching Up out and go, well, it's right here. It's right here. I'm not saying it's the best portion, but it's the most recognizable.
Oh God!
Get my ass wiggling. Like, oh, here it comes. It also happened to be the first shit I ever heard. Right? It was like I put on the headphones and there it was. Like, oh shit! What is this?
I don't think you even need to be that big of a No Means No fan. Like, you could tell that single note what song it's from.
Yes. Yeah. If we were back in the 60s in the Name That Tune era, and like even a vibration of that bass thing come on, and be like, I'm slamming the button. I know I can name that tune in 0 notes, an 8th note. Yeah, everything about this song is perfect for what it is. It's flawless. I think it's flawlessly constructed. We learned from John. Oh, you guys didn't learn from John because we talked to him off air. So I'll tell you a little bit. This is a John composition, right? So this is John wrote this one musically, and I believe Rob wrote the lyrics. Everything about it is so well constructed, of course, so well executed. This is definitely one, my old saw of the holographic principle of No Means No, how everything fits together perfectly. This song's a pinnacle of that. The way that, and in subtle ways too, the way I highlighted this last time I talked about this song, but that part where it goes down to the hi-hat and then you get the
tom,
to the snare. Open give me Asylum, but it starts at hi-hat, goes to tom, then goes to snare, right? Like it just makes this journey as the vocals make this journey, and then just explodes into the chorus. It's fucking perfect. And listening to both the studio and live, I don't understand how John Wright plays this music. I don't understand his drumming. I don't get it. I can't listen to it and go like, yeah, that's real. I mean, I've seen it, so I know it is. But fucking hell, it's just, it's real. Magnificent. And I mean, everything about it, right? I mean, I've talked about the words before. I'm mostly shy away from that now in part 2, just because I feel like I kind of dumped everything I needed to dump about the words. But I do think this is an interesting song. This is going to be a real fucking Nick Beard thing to say.
Do it. Let's hear it.
I think this is the kind of song where you can tell the people who don't really care too much, which, and it's not a value judgment, but care too much or know or analyzing lyrics
Yeah.
versus those that just like the music. Because a lot of people will just go, it's a song about zombies, which is what those guys who had who covered every No Means No album ever,
Mhm.
right? Recently they had a few things they talked about. They're like, it's a song about zombies. It's like, no, it's not a song about zombies. It's a song about what it is to be a human being and live with all of these repressed things that you keep down in our subconscious, and the things that we run away from, our old decisions, the things that haunt us, that are constantly pushing at the door. And yet it's
So
all
it's
done
not
in the
not
beauty.
about zombies.
It's not about zombies, I guess. It's all done in this. I'm not saying that they're intentionally using that as a framing device, right? I mean, all of it. It's fucking genius. That's what's genius about them, is that they can take a very well-worn trope, in a sense. I don't know about music necessarily, but in society, of zombies, and yet wrap in something very essential about fucking human nature in a song that fucking gets your blood just amped to shit. This song is
Yeah.
absolutely top shelf. And it is it's not my top song of theirs, but it is one of their top songs. I mean, it's just sort
Yep.
of objectively well, let me say this instead. It's one of their most important songs objectively. I think it was many people's gateway drug on that front. So let me switch a little. It's been a while, so I think I may be fucking with the rounds here a little bit. So I don't want to fuck that up too much. Let me talk a little bit about Dark Ages. Holy shit, this song! Jesus Christ! I mean, God, I have to say, listening to, because whenever we're going to do an episode, I listen to these songs way too much, probably. But today I really focused in on the Live and Cuddly version, and I think I said this last time too. I love the studio recording for all sorts of reasons, some of which I'll get into. But I love the live version. I love how it's so fucking fast. It's so much faster, and they've got that energy. And hearing Rob's bass with the wrong tone, because it's from that tour, to the Dark Ages song, is fucking great. And I mean, one of the pinnacles of this song for me, and no offense to John, because the whole thing is brilliant, but I'm pretty sure Andy probably wrote that guitar solo himself that's at the end. And they're similar but very different in the live and the studio version. And they're both fucking magnificent. They're both picture perfect. They're just amazing. And I think I said this last time too, and Michelle, you maybe even said this, that probably one of my favorite Andy guitar solos is the one in this song. I think it's so fucking good. The Dark Ages, this is John lyrics. These are fucking great lyrics. He wrote, directed, produced this fucking song, man. This is all him. Sang it.
Yep.
This is John top to bottom. And it is magnificent. It's magnificent on the album, magnificent live. They make a good decision to play it faster live, because I think it needs that to keep the energy up.
Well,
because
it's also adrenaline during a show, that everything's faster.
Well, no, exactly. But it's also a song, it's not very fast. So it's not a song that if it was played as it was on the album, I think would keep that energy flowing, right? It would probably pull back a little bit. But it's as relevant today as it ever was. I mean, it's kind of amazing to me that it was written back in 88. Is that right? Yeah. No, was that
80,
I have
87.
87.
Yep.
Because it's so relevant to
88,
today and the internet and every fucking thing else. The grand scam that is late stage capitalism. It's fucking crazy. And somehow, even though I'd researched this before and made it's even more appropriate. That's exactly true. That's actually a better way to put it. It's become more appropriate now than it was then. I'm still amazed, though, that I've spent so long hearing the lyric, but it's in the dark, he makes me null and void, that I cannot hear it as, but it's him in the dark, he makes me null and void, but it's him in the dark. I can't hear it, even though I know that's right. And I know that's what's in the lyric sheet. And I had totally forgotten that till I went back and looked at my last notes. I'm like, oh yeah, that is what it says. What the fuck? I tried to go back and hear it. And I'm like, I guess I can, but it's because John has such great fucking syncopation in his delivery. Great vocal delivery in this song. Really good use of vocal effects in this song. But those strange days. What's the fucking lyric?
That's
Oh
your
yeah,
Just
but
job.
that deep freeze is strangely
Strangely
pleasing. Yeah, it's
pleasing.
so fucking great. I mean, that's the John sneer, right? We've got Andy's sneer. That's kind of John's goofy sneer that I love to hear every once in a while. Um, yeah, I mean, this is I think a good pinnacle of everything that makes John's songwriting so good. Everything's complex. The drums are beautifully crafted. They're their own fucking lead instrument. The bass underneath it is beautiful, keeps pace exactly right with that and plays off of it. And then the guitar is just Andy's genius at coming in and filling in
Yeah.
any fucking gap with the energy it needs to propel the song in this just magical way. And I just adore the ending to this song, on the recorded version. The go to sleep bit is
Oh,
sinister and
God.
gorgeous and off kilter and just
I
so
love it.
fucking good.
Yep.
And these are just these songs are so fucking different. They're so different. That it's really hard to pit them up against each other, I think. But I don't know. They've both got absolutely beautiful, beautiful bits to them. I think there's probably a billion more things I could say, but I've already been talking for like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. So, Michelle, I'll let you have a crack.
All right. Even though maybe you've heard these songs 1,000 times, do yourself a favor and find the live videos on YouTube. Like you were just saying, what a treat. It's such a joy and an added bonus to watch the. They don't even look like they're holding on to their instruments or drumsticks. it's just, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're just
I do.
The force.
fucking
It's
finesse.
the force.
Yeah, it's the goddamn force, the finesse, the effortless playing. They do, along with the entertaining moves and faces they make. They're such a joy to watch. They are consummate musicians, and it's one of my personal life treats to watch them deliver their art.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the videos. It's catching up. One of my top 10 songs in the ass-kicking list. Included in it is one of their best seamless transitions between verses and chorus to that unbelievable part. It's probably maybe the bridge. I wish I could hear it right now to point out exactly what I'm talking about. It's all instrumental, and Rob is doing tons of screaming in it. It's probably my favorite part of the song, as well as the main riff and the thundering drums. The marching snare part in the verses is one of the high points in the song for me, too. Dark Ages is all John, and he totally kills it. I love how stomping this song is. My ear is always attracted to that offbeat John plays on the snare during the verses that hits on the end of the second beat. Again, I wish I could.
Yeah.
I wish we could play it so you could hear what I'm talking to. I love that small, great thing he does.
Yeah.
The ending, like you're saying, of Dark Ages is the fucking total shit. The go to sleep part, I adore how they add that apocalyptic harmony in the vocals and the very hard way it ends. It's just a colossal ending. It's like holy. It's creepy holy, like spiritually creepy holy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's all I'll say about that.
All right. Matthew.
Yeah, it's a very tough one because these are both big old ones. Oh, fruit fly really likes this drink too.
Of course it does. It's got everything fruit flies love.
Yeah.
Save the fruit fly.
No, thank you. Die, fruit fly.
Oh, come on. I know somebody that used to study him. Come on.
Well,
save him.
I'm sure he didn't keep them all alive. Yeah. It's catching up is punkity punk, while I mean, it is and it isn't. While Dark Ages is, I'd say, one of their most songy songs. It's like maybe the one without being in any way something it needs to be like a radio song.
Yeah.
It could be a radio song, and I think it would have like a kind of a mass appeal. And this is, I mean, you know me well enough to know that this is not a negative in any way. It's maybe one of the only songs of theirs that I could think of, not that they ever would have, but I could imagine what a Rush cover of this song might be like.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I can picture that.
Yeah. I love how
Oh.
all of the instruments interplay. I mean, both of these songs, Dark Ages is kind of like more a poem. I mean, it's got rhymed couplets, whereas it is catching up is more of like it's a, it's reflective, but it's also a story. It's also a movie. I mean, it's catching up. Both songs are so incredibly well played. Both of them have such incredible interplay
Yeah.
between the players, in doing their independent thing, yet totally cooperating and like, letting each other have the solo or the spotlight here and there without actually totally receding.
Right.
But it's catching up. What you pay attention to is how hard they can play. Where in Dark Ages, it's how you pay attention to more how well they can play somehow to me. And yeah, it's catching up. So, raw. Yeah, it's so tight. I mean, Dark Ages is more raw on Live and Cuddly, and it's faster and everything like that. But I much prefer. I think the quiet parts and the contrast are what I really love about Dark Ages, and that isn't something that comes out as well in the live version. So to me, it's very orchestrated. It really needs a studio to bring out everything that I love about the song. So that it's very easier to polish it, maybe. Not that, and maybe it's better that way for me. I really love Andy's solo in it. It's a little bit, it's quiet and reflective, alternating with panic. It's catching up as nothing but panic.
Nothing but panic.
But it's catching up as like a sound poem, almost like the you could animate to it. I mean, the syncopated drums, the sort of galloping.
It should be
it's
animated.
totally running.
There should be a fucking Adult Swim cartoon about this.
Alternating between the snare and the floor tom. It's like you're running over different terrain.
Exactly.
And the stop and start bits are like somebody being chased. Things I really like about
God, it's so good. Woo.
It's so incredibly good.
Wow.
Yeah. I love that all three of them, there are parts that they sing on Dark Ages. Like it's mostly John, but the other two do bits and pieces. I really like the crescendos and decrescendos in Dark Ages, like the contrasts, the constancy of the bass it's always there, which is kind of evocative of kind of the message of the song, I guess, like this constant sort of repetitive feeling that you've always got, maybe paranoia, maybe monotony, maybe they're the same thing. My favorite bits, there's like, listened, I can't remember in what part of the song, it's about 2/3 of the way through, you can just sort of hear this weird distant tannoy, like a loudspeaker off in the distance, and it's clearly John's voice, but you can't understand what he's saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's all this weird shit added
like off in the background.
Yep. It's wild.
I love how incredibly harmonious the whole song is. Like, I've often talked about how, the best No Means No songs for me, this is something that's very true of Rush for me, was with It's a Braid, the three very, very strong clusters and like woven into one. Some of my favorite things on It's Catching Up, the hi-hat. I mean, it's a song about the hi-hat. It's just, that's how you play a fucking hi-hat. And some of the bass stuff too, like there's a boom, boom. I can't even get enough bass in my voice. And I love how John is actually playing he's playing on different parts of the head of the snare.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
To get a different tone, which is really interesting to me. And of course the scream. The only things that I don't like about these songs, of course, the same thing that I always say about every song on Small Parts, is the mix. I just want a better mix. And It's Catching Up, of course. If I listen to It's Catching Up, I want the tower. But it's really only because of the way it ends. It's just sort of designed to lead into it. So to evaluate it on its own merits, I can't imagine what a different ending might be like. But anyway, that's what I got to say about that.
Nice.
I wonder if they always tagged those two together when they played live.
I can't remember.
I bet they did. Think?
I don't. They didn't on. It's. I think on Live and Cuddly, it really does go into two lips,
Hmm.
not to the
Ah!
tower. So I think
All
they
right.
can fuck around with that ending. They just bleed whatever two songs slap
Right.
together.
Yep.
Um.
Keep it interesting.
So are these songs representative of No Means No as a whole? I kind of already talked about that. Yes, they are in very different ways. It's Catching Up really is that the hardcoreiest of the hardcore. I mean, not necessarily. I mean, you've got like Brainless Wonder on here that's like far more metal in its way, right? But there's just something that very hardcore about this song because of its energy, because of its intensity, because it's an onomatopoeia in song form, right? Like you've got the give me asylum, let me in, and you've got the guy banging on the door. The whole, like as you talked about, Matthew, it's very cinematic. This song,
Yeah.
I'm in a, I'm
That's a good
I'm in a,
word.
that there needs to be a film. Someone out there is very fucking creative,
Shit.
and is a filmmaker, and you need to, or an animator,
Shit.
even better. You need to fucking make a like weird ass cartoon about this. It's
When I
it's
did
in there.
animation
It's
school,
just
I thought about it, but it was beyond me.
but it's just like it's
Yeah.
aching,
I don't
man.
know.
It's give it asylum, fucking somebody. Jesus Christ, it needs it. But yes, I think this song almost more than any song I can answer and say yes, it's representative of No Means No as a whole. Both because it was many people's gateway drug. It's the best album opener of all fucking time from a band that is chock full of amazing openers. It's their most popular album, so it's like been the de-virginization of a fucking mountain of
Oh
loyal
my
fans
God.
for generations.
Devirginization.
Literally now generations. It's a, I should have said deflowering. That would have been more poetic. I now regret my choice.
I don't know. I liked it.
So scrub that back. Deflowering of generations of years of potential No Means No fans, and you see a band as competent and as hardcore as Dead Cross try to pull this off, and they fucking can't. And you just realize there's no band, but No Means No that does It's Catching Up. Like that is them. That's their fucking. No one else. They own it, and they
Yep,
will
yep.
forever. And yes, it's representative.
That's the rules.
And so is Dark Ages in that completely different way. Matthew, you talked about this having I think John even says was kind of a pop song, right? In the way that No Means No would do it, right? That whatever that means for No Means No pop, but it's much more musical. It's much more of a song. The structure is much more song-like. There's a lot of thought to the composition in ways that are very complex, that plays off of itself and iterates as it goes forward. And that's very No Means No too. That's like, there's so many songs like that. This is one of the best of those. So yes, both of these songs are entirely representative of No Means No. And now to the question of would I introduce a newbie to either of these songs? I'm actually going to call this, we're going to use the Czar rule. Because if you remember, Chet had a great revision to what we normally do, which was instead of saying, would we introduce both of these to a newbie? The question now is, which of these would we use to introduce to a newbie? Which is a harder choice now.
The Czar rule.
So I'd have to say It's Catching Up with no reservation. Dark Ages, if I were to say, I like both and, I'd say yes, both and. But if I had to pick, it'd be It's Catching Up. Because it just, from the initial note, fucking arrests you. You're just like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah.
What am I hearing? And then it leads you in and just fucking smacks you around for a while. And it's like, you like it, bitch, come on. And then it's done. And you're like left in your chair going, okay.
Exactly.
Again, please. May we hit rewind and do it again?
Yes.
So definitely, I would introduce a newbie to both of these. But if I had to pick, It's Catching Up, which is, they're both wonderful, these songs. Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir. May I have another?
All right, Michelle. Round 2.
Well, I want to say a lot of what you just said, so I'm going to pretend that I said it too. Each of these are huge pieces in their catalog and showcase how this band is very much a sum of their parts. Like Matthew alluded to with the Rush, equalization there. They couldn't do it wrong if they wanted to. It's such good songwriting and delivery, both of them, absolutely bang on.
Sweet.
And would I play this with the Chet rule? I forgot the chat rule, so I wrote, "It's catching up." Yeah, hell yes, I'd play that for somebody. Anytime I ever play any No Means No for anybody, it's the hey, listen to this, sit down. Oh my god, what the hell was that kind of thing? It's catching up. Yes, Dark Ages maybe, but for sure, out of either of the two, it would be It's Catching Up for sure to play for somebody. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Mr. Matthew.
Yeah, they're both very representative of No Means No. Again, different sides of No Means No, and yet both are common in terms of the mythology and in terms of the thematically. Both are very, very, very much. I'd say like both of them would be in the top 10 for typical songs of No Means No's, or one that would typify what No Means No sounds like. They're both super important in their body of work, I would say. Would I introduce a newbie to them? It's catching up, not without the tower. I would always, if I was going to play a whole album or a whole side, but I don't think I would play it on its own because of the way it ends, because it needs the tower to me. Dark Ages is a more independent entity, so I would introduce that. And it depends on who it was too.
That's true.
I think I would introduce more people with more wider tastes to Dark Ages, and maybe because it's a little more digestible, maybe a little has a more wider appeal, but that's not a bad thing in this case, I don't think. It's catching up. Yeah, it would definitely be people who like aggressive music, and not everybody does. But I think Dark Ages has more to offer, more people with wider tastes. So yeah.
Good point.
You know, that's interesting.
and-
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, it's cool.
I was just going to say, it's interesting what you say there about it being a hardcore song, smaller audience. I agree in many ways. But the one thing I feel about this song is the way it's constructed and the tightness with which it's played and the precision and how interesting it is. It's probably the most hardcore song that I feel like would appeal to the broadest number of people. I feel like there's a lot of people I could introduce this song to who may not go, yeah, I'm a converted fan, but would still
But they're
just
like, holy
be
shit,
blown away and
Yeah.
be like, wow, that's incredible. In a way that I wouldn't ever play like Brainless Wonder, and I don't think I'd play The Tower either. Right? Like The Tower to me does take somebody who's probably into hardcore, whereas this one is more like, it's just a wonder. Like, here it is, and listen. You don't have to ever listen to their shit again, but you should at least know that this exists and hear it.
Right.
It's just, there's something, I don't know what that is about that song, that it is so fucking hardcore, but not in the way most hardcore songs are, that really do take a certain perspective to like. So I don't know, but I agree with you on the other hand. So,
you know, I might have linked these
I'm
songs
really just
even
saying
more,
that
not
'cause
just
we
because of
gotta
the order, but because, you know, that the lyric "Give me asylum, let me in." It's the tower that he's knocking on.
yeah, well, there you go.
So maybe
yeah?
maybe I don't know.
Well, I've really just been adding shit because now we got to vote, and I don't want to vote. So, but I'm going to. So my vote is fuck.
Oh,
It's
God.
Catching Up is my vote. And now it's really hard. It's not an easy one for me.
I know. I feel
I
it.
enjoy both of these songs incredibly. Part of my votes at this point, sometimes when I like both songs really, really a lot, I then have to kind of step back and think of, well, where do these songs sit in, like, how important they are in the catalog. And I feel like there are fewer songs that are more important than It's Catching Up, in the sense of what they mean for the overall myth of No Means No. So that's kind of the thing that tips it over for me, because I really do love both of these songs for different reasons. So I'm not voting for It's Catching Up because I think it's better quality. I think it just ticks a few more boxes in the sense of, what am I really going to push forward into round 3? It's going to be It's Catching Up for that reason. Grayson agrees.
Griggs agrees. Probably wants to eat.
Stranger, how about you?
Oh, here it goes. Wow.
Oh,
What's
that's
wrong
catching
with
up.
you? Oh God. Hey, it's catching up. Hey, no.
Give me asylum. Give me feed.
Greg,
That's the loudest he has ever been. That is
Greg, get
beautiful.
out of here.
Meow. You are my only feeder.
Poor little
I'm gonna
fella.
die. Oh shit.
Now he's coming over here. That's it.
Oh
You've got him.
boy. All right, give us your vote quick.
You know, it's catching up. The how these guys can start and stop on a dime too. Nobody even talked about that before.
Yeah, true.
The fucking you got to be in the zone to play this crap, and they don't fuck it up ever. Well,
Yep.
they probably did, but I didn't hear it. And I'm gonna say this right here and now. I think I want to start a No Means No lounge band. Tell me
Sweet.
this song playing like lounge with like a vibraphone and shit.
That'd be awesome.
Fucking jazz drums.
Do it.
I think
You know,
that
upright
dude
bass.
Throng, what's
Did
what's
he?
it called? No Means Mock. He did.
I don't know.
There was
Did he
some of
do
that
this?
on there, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't
Did he
remember
do
what
this on the
song.
lounge?
He did one of them in sort of loungy version, but I
See,
can't remember which song.
I think
it
it's catching up would be good.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that your vote?
I love Dark Ages. I really do. But yes, it's catching up. When you first gave me those two, I immediately circled that, and I'm sticking with it. It's
Nice.
catching up. Yes.
Matthew, your vote is unfortunately meaningless, but we want to hear it anyway.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's very difficult. Very, it's catching up. I like it. I love it. Dark Ages, I like it, and
Want more of it.
I identify with it and have done for many, many years. It's evergreen, sadly. But, it comes up in my mind so often. Like when I was watching Severance, the series on Apple TV, it just totally reminded me of aspects of Dark Ages. And there's, it's a whole Cold War aspect to it as well. And that's been coming up lately. And, some of the places I read on the internet, millennials who have been afraid of nuclear conflict and like freaking out when China is getting more nukes and blah blah blah. Kind of like as a Gen Xer, kind of like, oh, first time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Yep.
no!
So yeah, I vote for Dark Ages, and
Nice.
totally understand why you guys would not, but
Totally
it actually
understand why
might
you
make
would.
it might make my job or easier further down the line, because this Dark Ages could have been a contender for a top song for me.
Oh, well, that
No
sucks.
shit.
I've kicked it out then. But I'm really grateful that it was not unanimous. I don't want on some of these songs, like I don't want us all to agree. I want us to have some like someone's got. I mean, and then
Matthew.
all of us gave it love. This
Yes.
is not easy. I could spend another 2 days thinking about it and change my opinion, but this is unfortunately where we're at. But
Oh,
fuck.
honey.
Dark Ages is now something you only read about in the history of this podcast, and it's catching up. We'll keep running. So now
It's
we are
caught
going to
up.
move into. First of all, I guess let me put out a sincere thank you to a bunch of you fuckers who listened. You really listened to our quiet desperation. Nope, strike that. Not so quiet desperation. Matthew's writing
Our
a little note. that's gonna
whiny
say tea
desperation.
time.
Do you have to pee, Matthew?
Is
No,
this
no,
a
no, just
CP
getting it?
note?
Just changing
Oh.
changing
Oh,
the
alright.
page.
Good,
I
good,
thought
good.
it was.
I'm used to PP
Get
notes.
to
Anyway, our
emergency.
quiet, not so quiet desperation about listener submissions, because I'll speak for myself. I got a fragile ego. I need to know you guys are listening to like us. So, true, not true. So we've got a bunch of them. So the next at least bunch of episodes will have them. Does not mean that if you haven't sent one in and you have anything in you, we really, 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 really want to hear it. We love it when you write us. We extra love it when you record it for us, but we're good with either. Matthew, I'm taking your territory here a little bit. Why don't you
No,
give the
do
listeners
it.
the spiel about what we want?
Oh,
Oh, now
you keep
I've
going.
created
You
dead
have
air
a-
by
you have
putting
the
you on the
momentum.
spot. All right. Yeah. So, well, I just killed it by being a fucking idiot.
Send in your shit.
'Cause I'm really good at that. Anyway,
Here, let me
everybody
do it.
send in your shit. You have been. I appreciate it. I don't want to guilt you anymore because you're listening. So be like the good people who are sending stuff in. You want to be one of them because we give you extra love. And I don't know what that means, but someday I will. So this I almost said this year. Jesus Christ. This episode, we're going to play a submission from a friend of the podcast, Corey. I call him friend of the podcast because he sent us in a submission. You too can be a friend of the podcast if you send us in a submission and get your badge in the mail. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. I don't believe, Michelle and Matthew, you've heard this yet. which is great.
No.
I
Nope.
have.
Well,
I don't
send,
wanna
send
hear
your
it till
submissions
now.
to
Oh, thank
no
you.
means
That's
nothing
the part I
podcast at
missed.
gmail.com. No means nothing podcast at gmail.com.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And now, let's sit back and hear from Corey.
Of course.
Hello, good day. Goedendag. My name is Corey, and I just wanted to start by saying how much I absolutely adore and love the podcast. I know I ran across it when it first launched a couple years ago now. It was on YouTube, and I'm really not much of a podcast consumer, so I might have listened to the first episode and enjoyed it and then went back. But fairly recently, as of maybe a month or two ago, I picked it back up, and I've just absolutely very much enjoyed every minute of listening to the three of you go through these songs and talk about it with such passion and love and joy, and just the types of things that I relate to so hard in terms of No Means No. But I want to open this up also in honor of your own podcast. I genuinely don't even know if you still do the listeners. I'm on episode 22 right now, listening to you have to contend with Mary as a song entry, which is just fantastic because I feel the poetry of that song so much too. It's just so perfect in terms of the writing and the music, and it comes together in such a fantastic, unique, singular fashion. There are few songs in the world that have the power of Mary, in my opinion. But as you do, I'll just talk briefly about what I am drinking as a libation. I have recently found a very good deal on a sampler pack from Ardbeg, which is an Isla Scotch that I much enjoy. It is like many Islas, peated, smoky. To me, it's kind of like imbibing the best parts of the sea. It's like sea salt. It's just delicious. And it was a 3-pack sampler of 200 milliliters, and I'm drinking from the 10-year. I'm also smoking a EP Carrillo exclusive release from a recent event I went to, but I digress. My origins with No Means No was as a young preteen, probably about 13 or 14 years old. I was a rat in the ocean of the early internet, AOL 1.0, and I was a frequenter of IRC, Internet Relay Chat, which many kids nowadays probably have no idea what it is, but effectively it's the precursor to Discord. So it was early chat, it came out of BBS, it was actually instant messaging when there was no such thing. And I frequented a channel that was devoted to 3D Realms and Duke Nukem 3D. And in that channel, I met a couple wonderful individuals who, to this day, I count as those who shaped my developmental years, especially in terms of music. But one of them was a Norwegian gentleman, and I won't use his name in just to honor of anonymity on the internet back in those days, but he went by Bunso, or Bunso, not really sure how it was supposed to be pronounced. And he also wrote reviews for Satan Stole My Teddy Bear, which, if it hasn't come up, is John Chedsy's review site for music that existed in the early internet days when there weren't ads plastering every single website. But Satan Stole My Teddy Bear and John, very closely related to No Means No. He went on to work with Rob and John, was it Nathan and Lothar, the joke kind of dubstep pair that came out of John's brain in Wrong Records history. So lots of, kudos and credit to John. But, my friend Bunso, he introduced me to No Means No, and I do remember exactly the song that hooked me without question. He gave me a number of tracks off of Wrong, which was the correct thing to do, of course, the quintessential, punk masterpiece that most consider to be the most popular and accessible No Means No album, by all rights. But, I believe it was Two Lips, Two Lungs, and Two Lips, Two Lungs, and One Tongue. It was Big Dick, and I think It's Catching Up, which didn't honestly hook me too much. At that point in my musical development, I don't know if I had a lot of. I just was looking for weirdness, and I was looking for deviancy, and I was looking for strangeness. My music tastes at that age were burgeoning. As a grunge kid, very big into Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, but the song that just made me stop and listen and re-listen and re-listen, it was Cats, Sex, and Nazis.
How about
And
that?
to this day, it's still one of my favorite songs of theirs. It's just the absurdity, the nihilism, the heart. I was also a fan of Faith No More at that point. So the I Don't Care, or I Care a Lot, rather, sample jumped out to me. And I was also a young David Lynch fan at that point. So I picked up on the Blue Velvet. And it's just such an amazing song, to the point where it even caused a riff in a friendship I had at the time, because I played the song for him, so excited about having discovered this punk band that was just exactly the weird deviance that I was looking for, that just hit every note in my young adult, despondent, struggling nerd outcast brain. And I played it for him, and he's just like, well, it just repeats over and over. I don't get it. Like, what's good about this? It's just the same thing over and over again. And I was so devastated that he didn't hear the same thing that I did, that it was part and parcel as to what eventually led to the end of that friendship, frankly. But, I mean, that's where I discovered them. Like I said, I don't know if you're still doing these, because I know you're in the episodes in the 60s at this point. But I wanted to record this and send it in. And just, again, lots of love and respect for you guys. What you're doing, or what you have been doing, has been fantastic. And, it's hard to say that anything could ever raise my appreciation for No Means No, the band that I singularly identify with as formative in my core identity. But this has, frankly, just has. It's made me revisit it. Listening to your thoughts has been great, and I look forward to more of it. Thank you. Find a dog.
Hey, now.
Nice, Corey,
Not that.
man.
Some good shit.
Thank
Course.
you. So much
Hey.
in there I relate to.
It's Matthew and Lothar, not Nathan and
That's-
Lothar.
That's right. That's right. I was like, is it Nathan? No. I'd forgotten
I
totally
don't
about
know.
that too.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't? That was a weird Chedsy thing, right? I mean,
Well,
I
that's
remember
why I
it.
didn't listen to it, because
Oh, well.
I didn't.
But I really identify one of the things he talked about that I loved that he talked about was that sense of playing a song of No Means No song to someone that you were friends with, really
Yeah.
expecting or hoping they would love it, and their
Yeah.
just nonplussedness making you just go, oh fuck.
Oh, man.
Like there's just no other band like that for me. And I've talked about this many times on the podcast, how I'm kind of careful about who I play them for, because I don't want to know if you like them or not. Because if you don't, there's a bond between us that will never be made.
I don't know.
I
You
know
just
that somebody would give it a fair shake and say that's not for me. Okay, that's fair enough. But if somebody says, it's just the same thing over and over again, that's not even, you're not even bothering.
That's when
That's
you.
right.
That's when you start beating them.
That's right.
That's when the beatings begin.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here for you now, Corey, because we're all those fucking nerds, and you get to put us in your ears.
We
I hope
get
you're
it.
caught up. Actually, I think you're not caught up yet, because we've heard a little bit more from you over email about some of the other episodes. So hopefully you're catching up. And what's wonderful is that Corey answered our call without even hearing our noxious pleas of the last few episodes, because by that
Wow.
point we were still getting steady submissions. So. But we've got more from other listeners coming up. That was amazing, Corey. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And the rest of you, get on it. We'd love to hear from you. It's always a highlight for us. And fucking, I love hearing people's origin stories. And yes, I know all the shit you're talking about. Matter of fact, I think a lot of the people listening to this podcast probably remember that era of the internet, because most
Sure,
of us
we were
is
all
old
there.
as fuck listening to this.
That's how I met you two.
That's right. That's right.
One of 'em.
But yeah, I remember Duke Nukem 3D. I'm all that kind of shit. Anyway, all right. So thank you, Corey, once again. Now let's move into our round 2, which once again, fuck this shit. So
Yeah.
our first song is Two Lips. Well, before I even say this, you know what that is, Two Lips. I want to point out a special fact about both of these songs before I say them. Both of these lost. These are two people's choice. These were not.
Oh, holy shit.
Neither of these got put through round 1. They got saved. So the first people's choice representative is 2 lips, 2 lungs, and 1 tongue.
What beat it?
Wow.
Off of Wrong 1989 and also Live and Cuddly 91. It lost against Who Fucked Who in episode 20.
Oh, that's. Oh.
Now, Michelle was the dissenter, which I totally understand, but I kind of still.
I love Who Fucked Who, though.
Yeah, I still kind of stick with I still stand by my choice on
Yeah.
that, because that song rips. I don't think it gets enough love.
God, that would have been tough for me.
It was tough for
Both
all
of
of us. Yeah.
For me
And
especially.
It's going up. Yeah, right. It's going up against
Sorry.
The Fall off of 0 + 2 = 1, 1991. And The
Which
Fall
came out
lost out.
32 years ago today.
Oh, it did. Today's
Yep.
his birthday. Happy birthday,
Say it, Matthew.
Weird Equation.
Say it.
He just did.
Say it.
I think it just
What?
0
It's-
+ 2 = 1 came out on which day?
October. Well, it won't be
November
November. It's not today. It was
5th.
November 4th,
4th.
Okay.
which was 2
I think
days
it was the
ago,
4th.
and
Yep.
3 days from now it'll be this 8, or 2 days it'll be the 8th, and so it'll be 4 days ago for those of you. Which is in itself an equation which matches up with the title you see, and that's very interesting. No, so The Fall,
all
0
right.
+ 2 = 1, 1991.
Fall back. We just fell back too, didn't
It
we?
lost. Oh Jesus! It lost against When Putting It Order, Putting It All in Order in episode 9.
I voted for When Putting in Order. I'll tell you
You
that.
did. I was the only
Yeah.
dissenter. Both of you voted for Putting in Order.
Mhm.
Now I think both Matthew and I insisted that The Fall be on the list for
Okay.
People's Choice.
No, good.
Mhm.
It needs
So-
to be.
Because it had to come back in. So
Yep,
this is
has
kind of
to.
interesting. And not only that, this is kind of, I don't know. I'll let Matthew talk about this part more because he goes first. But this is a similar pairing in similar ways. You know what
Yeah.
we didn't mention? I wanted to mention real quick before Matthew dives in. We did get shadow votes from John after the end of the last episode. He did vote for It's Catching Up also in that first round. We won't reveal
Yeah.
his vote in the second round yet. But Matthew, take it away for this unusual and really unfortunate pairing.
He kept trying, but he couldn't find out why he couldn't stop crying. Only so many songs can be sung when two lips do words at one time. She kept praying that he would understand what she was saying. Only so many songs can be sung when two lips do words at one time.
Do you know the meaning of this is love, this is love? Do you know the meaning of this is love, this is love? Do you know the meaning of this is love, this is love? Do you know the meaning of this is love, this is love? Do you know the meaning of this is love, this is love? Do you know the meaning of this is love, this is love? Do you know the meaning of this is love, this is love? Do you know the meaning of this is love? This is
The end is nothing, and you begin with nothing much. It starts with something, a gentle touch of vicious punch. Just swing on over, please move over. You will get a little shove over your shoulder.
a whisper saying this is love. This is
Push me still. I'll never fall. Push me still. I'll never fall.
Yeah, we had asked John that because we were planning to have a guest for this, and then we would have potentially deadlock and
Have
Stranger
a band
really wanted
member
John's
break the tie.
yeah John be the
How
tiebreaker
badass
rather
was
than
that?
the four-sided die.
Stupid dice. Fuck that thing.
Yeah. So, Tulips again. I wouldn't say that the Fall is super duper similar to Dark Ages because Dark Ages there's no silliness in it, whereas the Fall has quite a bit of silliness in it, and that is one thing that you don't. You don't get, and actually in the first two pairings, and in both of these songs have a lot of silliness in both of them.
Yes.
So
Yep.
that is, quintessentially no means no thing. So that is, so these two have, checked their boxes. Yeah, Two Lips, Too Long is very, very punk song. Super duper, simple idea, and they just made a whole thing out of it. It's pretty awesome. The Fall, more complex, and very, very much in line with No Means No type themes. I suppose Two Lips, Two Lungs is as well, especially from the early stuff, like really some body based. You are just a meaty vessel.
Yeah.
Whereas the Fall, a little bit less
I
of
like
that.
that.
Yeah, I really Two Lips, Two Lungs. It's John and Andy vocals. The bass is really backgrounded, but he's still just totally going off back there if you listen carefully. But it's
Yep.
not totally in
Oh,
front.
yeah.
Pretty amazing. Yeah, the lyrics of Two Lips, Two Lungs are pretty simple, but then they leave you a great big space to fill in with whatever you want to
here
fill it
we
in,
go.
and that's what they. I think one of most everyone's favorite
Oh,
things,
God.
or if it's not your favorite thing about this song, then you don't really understand No Means No very well.
The litmus test.
Another thing that I really, really like about Two Lips, Two Lungs is how when it as it ends, each instrument leaves after a bar. Which
Yes.
is really
That's
fantastic.
great.
I always kind
Totally.
of started wondering, there's two guitar tracks, and one track leaves and then the other track leaves, and I kind of wondered how they did that live. I'll have to pay attention in watching live videos like you suggest.
It's on
They
Live and
stopped.
Cuddly. You can
Yeah,
listen to
they
it.
just cut out.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of, I guess, yeah, the how the lyrics and the vocals match up. Two Lips and Two Lungs, it is just distilled to be exactly what it is.
Yep.
In the Fall, illustrates the interrupted kinesis of love, I would say, and that is again thematically
Whoa.
so No Means No, so very, very No Means No. Things I like in particular, I really like all three of them singing on the Fall. Obviously, Two Lips, Two Lungs, the solo. What else in the Fall? Oh, the whispered "This Is Love." There's a part where the guitar is following the bass very, very closely, and then Andy just goes up an octave just for 2 bars.
Yeah.
Love
Yep.
that bit. It's silly and dancey, like a couple of songs on 0+2=1 are, and that is something which didn't exist too much. There's that on Sex Mad, but very angry type, and then Wrong as a punk record, and then Small Parts is a gloomy cave basement toilet.
They're broody. Yeah, they're broody face.
Cave basement toilet.
0+2=1 is very
Back to nature.
silly and crazy, and it's about madness, but also about like total looming scariness, and I think the Fall has both of those things. So I really like that about it. It here and there, it's a little. There's 1 or 2 places where it's almost feels disjointed, but then I listen more closely, and it's totally on purpose, like everything else. So yeah, that's about all I got to say about those songs.
Round 1. All right. Strangey, you're up.
Holy shit with 2 lips. Oh my God, this song is so unbelievable. And it's basically written with a lousy half-step motif going through it. It's overflowing with smear, punk, fury, and the greatest guitar solo break of all time.
Yep.
Thankfully, it gives the guys in the band a much needed rest, right? Because they just laid it down. So, in the mayhem, and it's absurd, and it's ridiculous, and it's in a very comfy spot to do so. That guitar solo in the middle of that ferocity is fucking hilarious. The fall, Jesus Christ, that drum intro, which leads into the magnificent riff. And just like Two Lips, it's basically a few neighboring funky played half steps together. Very, very concise, very, stuck in this box that just that just get stripped down to a tritone. Just that I went and played it on have a bass in the other room, and I went and played it, and it's they don't have to move their fingers very much for that riff, and then it slams down on a tritone, which is great. It's totally wonderful, catchy, and it's simple. It really is quite a simple song, but the way they play it, the way they have their attitude into it, and their delivery, it's just so cool. When we last interviewed John, he made mention of remember when he was talking about how the Beastie Boys, when they click back and forth between each other, would help. One guy says one part of the sentence, the middle, and the third. They did that on this song, am I right?
So much.
Yeah,
so much.
and it sounds really great. Was he? I don't even know how we got onto talking on that subject with him, but they totally do this in this song. So probably before the Beastie Boys did it, actually, right?
Could be.
Anyway,
No.
Right? No,
Beastie Boys
Maybe?
was in the late '80s too. This is '90s. Anyway, I don't know.
No, like
Maybe.
Paul's Boutique. I don't know. I gotta
This
look
is still
at the
came in
internet. Anyway,
'86.
whatever. Okay. This song is so perfectly written. The verse, chorus, and parts are incredibly seamless. The first we feel and then we fall vocal delivery. I love that. I think I mentioned that the first time we went through it. I love the power behind it. Rob is. I love Rob. I really do. And again, I was watching some videos of it, and Rob is just the shit to watch because he doesn't hold nothing back. And he's got his jogging pants on too, which kills me. His little pants. Anyways, these works are tremendous with what they're saying, and I love how they play with it, adding echoes. And it took a bit for me to accept the keyboard horns in that song.
It's the
In the fall.
teratones.
Yeah,
It's
I know,
Critchley.
I know, but I was like, what? I know, but at first I was like, what is this? It's the Bee Gees. But then I got over it. I really like it, and I know that like John with his current album, he's kind of wishing he had a horn section. So I think his ear just goes to that with maybe some big band type thinking in there, and it sounds great. It sounds fucking great.
Well, there's horns on
The
the
lyric-
Bob album.
But yeah, and he talked about
Played by
having
Christy
some, and
Lee.
wish he could have some on the road with him. The lyrics in this are pretty spectacular, especially they give me just a little shove. I love the way they say it. I love the way they play it. It's so good, and it's snarly too. Up against Two Lips, it definitely a more orchestrated piece with the extra vocal work and keyboards, and it's way more similar. And I wrote this, Matthew. I think this song, The Fall, is way more similar to Dark Ages than it is to Two Lips. Just in its composition wise, because I obviously John-based song. So
Totally
connected
is,
The Fall
that's
and
not quite
Dark Ages.
not quite what I meant, but it's okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but I did think there were more similarities with Dark Ages and The Fall than there was between The Fall and Two Lips for sure.
Yeah.
And again with Two Lips, just like with It's Catching Up, they do the stops and the starts, and you just have to be good. You have to be really good to do that. And they do, and they are.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. I think
Yep.
two incredibly iconic songs. Two Lips in the pantheon probably more iconic for the reasons of how unique it is for a punk song to make a punk band to make a song like this, and just I also think that the Live and Cuddly version has rocketed into the mythology just because that break, Andy's break, has some of the best banter lines that they've rattled around my head for fucking years, right? Like, too bad it's not a democracy, fuck you.
Oh, that's
Reminds
the
me of something my
best,
father
Rob.
once said, like, What do you mean?
What do you
Let's
mean,
go.
let's
just like
go?
it's just I could rattle. I could probably do that entire thing just like I would a Monty Python sketch, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just fucking beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. And this song,
I love when Rap says that. It's
I
not good
know.
hypocrisy.
And
Fuck
these,
you.
when I live here in the crowd too, like how much fun they're having with it, right? Like they're not really pissed off. They're just having fucking fun yelling at this great man. So Tulips, one of the reasons I love it is I think it's saying something actually really profound in a very simple way. It's very much to me talking about something Rob talks about a lot. I don't know who wrote these words, but Andy has this in his songs too, in his lyrics. But the absolute impossibility of actually communicating anything one feels using language. It's not possible. And so all we have
So
are
this
these
song
vehicles.
belies our entire podcast.
Right. These two, we have these two lips, these two lungs, and this one tongue to try to communicate and wish and hope and pray that we can be understood. That you can realize what I'm feeling, what I'm saying. And that's why I can't stop crying, because I don't have the words, the language to match up with the feeling. There's just literally an infinite gulf between those things. And what's in the middle of this song? An infinite gulf. That's just this void with this single guitar that we all love so much. I mean, again, this song to me is deceptively simple, but it packs in that holographic principle perfectly. These guys are so passionate. Andy is so passionately singing this, so passionately playing this. And then there's just this void, which is fuck my internal world. I don't know how to get there. And then right back into the, and then it slowly, as you both talked about, that slow breakdown, one bit off a time until one instrument off until it's just the vocals. It's a masterpiece in a tight little package with a handful of words. And just that line, only so many songs can be sung with two lips, two lungs, and one tongue. Not only the meaning is beautiful, but the pace of it is just fucking gorgeous. It's
John's
incredible.
hitting the snare, I think, when they say that too, right? Just a snare hit along with the vocals.
I think that's right. So I just, if you think of this song as just a fun little lark or a fun little punky bit, man, there's a lot going on in there in a very short little time. And it's pretty affecting if you let it sink in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also silly and funny as fuck. That's what's great about it. Like they stick all 5 fingers in the pie and they can work it around and play all the notes at the same time. They don't have to just be in one genre.
I mean, it's so silly that there's. Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
This is so silly that they do that solo, but it's also kind of, melancholy. It's like lonely. It's like join me, and then everything does join it very, very suddenly.
That's exactly.
It's almost a little bit like Grigston. It's like meow.
That's that.
Meow.
That's
hilarious. I'm not gonna forget that one.
I'm gonna sample that out and try
every
to
time he does
make
that.
a Grigston solo for.
Are you really?
And
oh my God! Please do that.
No, that's right. The fall very similarly is it's a poppy song. It's one of their, so just like in the last pair up, we've got kind of a more hardcore song matched up with a poppy song. I agree, Matthew, this one's more silly than Dark Ages for sure, but it's still compositionally and tonally poppy. This one though, much more fun in a sense than, maybe not fun, dancey than Dark Ages. Yet with absolutely top shelf, knock my ass to the floor Rob lyrics. This is incredible. This song about and I actually think there's a lot of thematic resonance between these two songs, Tulips in the Fall. This idea of the first thing that happens when you come out of the fucking womb, you're gonna feel, you're gonna sense, you're gonna feel, and then you start to learn through others what that means, what to attach to it. You crawl on the floor and you learn from your parents, you learn from your mother, you learn from them fucking whatever to call that love. But first you just felt something, then you called it something. First you feel, then you fall. That's the fall. Our descent into language, our descent into meaning, and that's where everything goes wrong. That's with the fall of Adam and Eve. They ate the apple, they got knowledge, and that was it. They got kicked out.
It was cut up for them.
It was cut up for them.
They ate it.
They ate it raw, man.
No, they ate
raw-dogged
it raw.
that shit.
That's why it sucks.
They didn't have knives. They didn't have knives yet. They didn't know about them. So So it's that, it's the fall of knowledge, and that fucking ruins us. That's what separates us from the world is our incomplete understanding of ourselves, of it, and the other. And they break it like there's that famous Sphinx riddle, which goes back to Oedipus or whatever, which I won't lay out, but it's about the 3 ages of man, right? Like the
Oh
birth,
yeah.
middle age, and death.
Oh,
And
the walks
everything
with a
in this,
cane and the crawls and the walk.
exactly,
Yeah.
everything in
I remember
this
that.
song is broken into 3. And that really represents those 3 ages: the newness of love, the violence of love, and the disinterest of love. Like it turns from like this early passion to a violence to a disinterest, right? It's
Just a ride.
yeah, it starts with something, a gentle touch, a vicious punch, right?
Right.
It's so like, just lean on. Oh, this is what it was. Just lean on over, like come in for a kiss, roll on over. Please, can you get out of the way? Please move over. Or no, roll on over, come and fuck me. Please move over, get out of my way, right? Like, anyway, there's all these 3.
It's fucking amazing.
It's amazing. And they do that in the way you talked about, how they bounce the lyrics back and forth. They do that. All 3 of them will shout at different times. And I really went into this before, so I won't say it too much here, but they say it in ways that give each of those a different character. So they're playing
different feel, for sure.
different feeling every time they say it. It's fucking incredible. And that last verse, the tower's falling, I think the dam's about to burst, the walls are falling. All of that is this wonderful, fearful look at death. And it's circling back into birth in a way, right? The light is blinding. You go first. That could be the light at the end of the tunnel when you're dying, or there's the light that I'm getting born. Fuck, I'm coming out of the dark into the light, right? Like, it's this great circular connection of that root of I'm just this ball of feeling that popped out in the world, and I learned all this shit that made me miserable from a baby to now. And yet all done in this brilliant, poppy,
poetic,
punk, jazzy, fun, flippant, deep masterpiece with fucking trumpets in the middle of it. It's fucking incredible, and a great follow-up to Now. Like, this is a great second song. I don't often talk about, like, does it make a great second song? This makes a great second song. It's just incredible. So yeah, I think that I think that it's a really good, in a sense, the Terrible Machine made a really good and similar matchup to the first matchup. I don't know that there's anything about Two Lips and Too Long Tongue that bug me. I've kind of already talked about everything I love about it, and I don't think there's anything about The Fall that bugs me either. Matthew, I think I know what you mean when you talk about the bits that maybe feel like they're a little less cohesive, but yeah, I disagree. It's very intentional, right? It's very messy. It's like they're letting themselves go into chaos, but underneath that chaos, it's very cohesive. And there's a lot going on in those moments. If you really fucking listen to it, right? There's just a lot of really good playing that just kind of falls into their own little grooves for a second before it comes back together very tightly. And that's another thing I love about Knowing Snow. So that's probably good for me for round 1. So why don't we kick into round 2? Matthew, what do you think?
I just looked up on the lyric sheet because I'm looking at the internet lyrics here for the lyrics for The Fall, and it says the tower's falling, and I noticed that the tower is capitalized, and I just went and got the lyric sheet from Zero Plus U, and it is capitalized there as well. So I wonder whether that was
it's the tower.
Yeah.
It's a very important card in the meaning, like catastrophic change and whatnot in the tarot. And that's, I think that's one of the reasons
you talked about that when we first did it.
Doesn't surprise me.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
Or no, you did in the tower. Glad
I just checked what the internet lyrics are, because the internet lyrics are usually kind of shitty, but
they are.
Anyway, yeah. So whether they are representative, I don't think Two Lips is all that much. I mean, it's not like a lot of other songs. It's very, it's very important in their whole body of work, but I wouldn't say that, except for maybe the solo. But if somebody who didn't know much about No Means No just sort of heard a little snippet of that, having heard a bunch of other No Means No, they might not think, hey, that's No Means No. The Fall has a certain, uniqueness, a certain weirdness, which is more characteristic, I would say, of more No Means No. Whereas Tulips is characteristic of certain period or certain kinds of No Means No. Maybe, I don't know. I would say it is very, very important to their body of work, especially in the live set, because of what they use it for connecting with
Right.
the audience as well as getting a rest. But it's like kind of a famous thing about them. It's a famous thing that they would usually do. As for the fall, maybe people might not know the like know the title, but a lot of people I find actually know the chorus and just know, do you know the meaning of? And I think that's awesome. They like the chant aspect to it. And I just remembered that a friend of mine's kids, maybe not his first words, but some of his first words, like they lived in, punk houses and stuff like that with this kid. Had a lot of people raised him, and you could go with him. Do you know the meaning of? And he'd go, bitte na, bitte na.
Oh, that is
Stop
everything.
it right now.
Oh yeah,
Seriously?
yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Pretty awesome.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Whether I would introduce a newbie to it, to somebody, I would probably, let's do chat roll. I would probably use the fall before Tulips Two Lungs, just because, unless I was trying to specifically appeal to somebody's like a hardcore person's sense of humor.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fall has like a certain weird playfulness, which I really appreciate about No Means No, which killed me to boot the fall out that time. I'm glad it came back in.
Yeah.
All right, Michelle, how about you?
Well, I love both of these pieces. In fact, I might be one of those people that when I see the song named The Fall, I'd be like, which one is that? And then I turn it on. Oh, yeah. So maybe the chorus is what I remember too, most of it. Anyways, but I think both of them showcase like just good songwriting, good composition. Two Lips is just a great classic hardcore punk rock song, which they do so well. They've got a lot of composers in their band.
Mm-hmm.
And I think each one of them, I'm hoping that each one of them, and I get the sense that each one of them gets their fair share of like, hey, this is a song I wrote. Let's put some lyrics and a great drum track to it. This kind of seems like a Andy song to me. Not sure if it is. The Fall definitely sounds like a John song to me. Very highly composed, very well mixed and delivered. And I want to reiterate, I very much fell in love with the horns at first. I didn't exactly like them at first. It was kind of keyboard cheesy to me. But I do really, really like them, and it adds a little bit more to the ambiance of it and the delivery of it. I think they're both catchy. They both have great lyrics, and they're fantastic vocal delivery and plenty of humor in both of them too. So I do think they're both good contenders. With the Chet rule, I like the fast and the fury ones. I like the ones that kick your ass. So I would play Tulips for somebody. I'd play The Fall for somebody too, though. If we were just like kind of hanging out and wanted something to kind of upbeat to listen to, but Tulips I'd play for just like listen to that.
Nice.
And listen to this crazy ass guitar solo. So
Nice. Oops.
Yep.
Just lost my headphone. All right. I kind of agree with both of you. I think, like you, Matthew, I don't know that I'd put Two Lips, Two Lungs, One Tongue as a overly representative song, but it's super important. And I actually think where it is very, very representative, as it's the most representative live song we have, because I think it displays their humor and virtuosity and what made them really special in a way that none of the other songs on that do. They're all brilliant, but that's just kind of like the pinnacle of their relationship with the audience. So in that sense, I think it's very representative of a side of the band that we're not talking about that much in this podcast because we're dealing with the recordings more than talking about them live. But as a live thing, I think it stands head and shoulders as something very representative above many, many things. So it's kind of weird. I'm not sure. The Fall, I think, is pretty representative. It's fun. It's that thing where it's fun and poppy and tight and weird, but also incredibly profound, right?
Yep,
So
yep,
it's
exactly.
got feet firmly planted in very like savvy ways in two completely different streams, and yet manages to fucking braid them together seamlessly in a way that's a magic trick I don't know any band will ever match. Certainly has never, and I don't know will ever. So I think they're both very representative in their different ways. I think I don't know. It's a hard question on this one for me because they're so different. And using the czar rule, I think I would probably introduce The Fall before Tulips. If I were to pick something, because I think it is fun, and I don't think I think you could introduce this song to a whole bunch of people that of different musical tastes, and they wouldn't bounce off of it. I think you'd find it, and you can also like understand what Rob is saying enough that you can glean some of the really great poetry without having to really attend closely. There's so many great little bits out there, and just the playfulness of their delivery is so excellent that it just draws you in. So yeah, I think The Fall would be the one I would. But if I were to use Tulips, it would be the live version. That's the one I would play for people, because that's when I'd be like, it's like putting on a Monty Python album almost, like, but a punk version. It's like, hey, listen to this. This is funny as shit. You gotta hear this. Or even better, I'd play them the YouTube of it, because I'd want him to see Andy like, refusing to play the note. So yeah, yeah, I guess that's it. So I don't know, Matthew, you got to do the hard bit. You got to vote first.
I don't like this. I don't like it. Nope, don't like it.
As important and representative as it is, I think that in some ways, Two Lips, Two Lungs has more of an element of novelty than The Fall, which to me has more depth. And I am voting for The Fall because I like.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Michelle, how about you?
And Michelle is a very simple person who gets pretty jacked quite easily. So I'm voting for Tulips.
Oh, tiebreaker.
Yeah, I don't like this, but The Fall's the shit. But Tulips, I'm an easy snag with that kind of crap. All right, Jordan.
The power.
I gotta go.
I'm just gonna sip it in. We're almost done. Just hold it in. Hold it in. We're almost done.
But
So I won't draw this out too much. I love both these songs. They're both fantastic. For me, it's definitely The Fall. I love Tulips, but The Fall definitely wins in this instance. I think it's more of a song. It's got more going on.
It's awesome.
But
awesome.
Tulips is incredible. This is not an easy choice. I mean, it sounded like it, but it's not. This was, frankly, harder for me than the first round. Strangely, now that I think about it. But for me, it's definitely The Fall.
Oh, great.
Which I'm really glad. I'm glad it came back, because I didn't want this one to go, and I'm glad to be able to talk about it again. And now I'm glad to be able to talk about it again and wondering what it's going to come up against. I don't know that this one will go super far in round 3. We'll have to see. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I start to think about with some of these. It's like, is this? Do I think this is going to make it past the next one? We'll see.
All right.
Like, it's catching up, probably. Fucking yeah, but who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, this week it's catching up. Did catch up. Good.
Wait a minute! You forgot to give the other bit of information.
Oh, right.
The choices.
Let's see if I remember if it was right. John voted for Tulips, like you.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did.
He did. And I think one of his reasonings was that it was so great to play live for that very reason. So I can imagine the fun he had playing that live. Plus, it gave him a little break from this fucking.
Sure.
That's my
Good little
commentary.
hanky out of his fanny pack.
Yeah, exactly.
Like his brow.
Exactly. Little hanky, little wet wipe. It's catching up.
Did he ever wear a headband like that dude from?
I definitely have seen him do that.
He's definitely
Has
headbands.
Has he
Dude,
like
he played music in the 80s. You think he didn't fucking wear
Yeah.
headbands? Give me a break.
Yeah.
It's practically a law. Anyway, it's catching up one over Dark Ages. We've got
man.
2 lips, 2 lungs, and 1 tongue. We'll not take another breath, and The Fall stopped falling and is on its way up, baby.
Oh.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again. We truly, truly love doing this.
You
We
guys.
really appreciate all of you who keep listening to us, idiots.
Yep.
Do this fucking shit over and over. And thank you all for being in this weird club of people obsessed with the absolute best band of all time. No
I
Means
feel
No
like
Thing
people
is
will be
produced.
upset with this one, but just as many people will
Maybe.
be not upset.
I hope they are. At this
This is
stage of the
fucking
game,
hard.
if you're not upset, then you're
Yeah.
not listening, right? Like, give me a break.
But you also understand. I mean,
Well, of
you know,
course. And we're not like shitting on any of these songs anymore.
No.
Right? Like, I mean, we never have.
No.
So, but
Put
be
yourselves
angry.
in
We
our
like
shoes.
funny
it. Let us
now.
know that you're angry. We love that.
it's
No Means No
funny
Thing
now.
is produced and edited by yours truly, Jordan Flato. Co-hosting and excellent podcast graphics are by the I said by the. I'm going to say it. By the Matthew
Yeah.
Kowalik.
The man.
Michelle Strangest is our third and
Yes.
everyone's favorite co-host and official
Stop it.
Foley artist. Shout out to our official mascot, Teddy.
Oh,
Thank
Teddy.
you to No Means No for the use of stock taking as the intro and outro music. I want some bodies.
I want it all.
You sick and tired of the same old thing? Or you happy enough? Tell me when there's so much becomes so little, when does too little become too much, when does so much become so little, when does too little become too much?
All right, you've stuck around. I just realized now I've made editing hell for myself because I never said, and now let's take a pause to listen to some of these tracks. So I'm going to have to find half a second pause to slip that shit in.
Oopsie.
Oh,
But that's my
no.
problem. So we're going to get we're going to get the terrible machine cranked up here and see what. Okay. Oh, well,
Oh no.
guess who's coming back on the podcast next time, ladies and gentlemen. We promised. So that's a little hint for you guys. Let me put it in the chat. This is going to be a good one.
Put
There
it
you
in
go.
the chat. I don't
That's
know what the
round
fuck
one.
you're talking about. Oh god. Oh.
And then,
Oh, God.
fun. I'm going to be excited about this whole episode. That's going to be a fucking fun banger of kaiju, folks. There we go.
Holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit is right. I am excited and I have to reach out to somebody. So,
You
thank
do?
you once again for, I'll tell you after air in case you don't remember. I am
Of course I don't.
signing off for now as our Matthew and Michelle, and thank you very much. And you know what to do. You can